2, 1. Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equities Story. I'm with Kojak.
Coach, hey, a very good looking Kojak. Thank you.
Yeah, cleanly shaved nowadays.
Exactly. Beautiful shirts these days. You know, he's making it good.
Clean shaves his head at the face at the same time. So looking very good. Certainly, Wolf. Really impressed with your new look. Is that for Tinder, that look, or is it just?
No, nothing about that. It's for you.
All right, this is just general share advice and not a personal advice. And let's get going.
Yes, let's.
Now, Wolf, I sometimes have difficulty sleeping. You've suggested I read the Westpac report every night.
Yep.
And that will get me to sleep, will it, Wolf?
I think I have come across. I've got a genius idea for insomniacs out there. Just read the reports from Westpac, ANZ, just before you go to bed. You'll be asleep within 5 minutes, I guarantee. They're so exciting, Dave, that 5 words down the thing. Oh, that's what's going to happen. There's nothing in those reports, right? You go, well, that's exciting, or well, that's interesting, or look at the growth. It's just the same old. It's like on repeat.
And the same old story. They're worried about interest rates and property prices affecting them long term.
Yeah, so it's really just dividend players, right? They're probably going to range trade, I'd say. So you know, for those maybe insomniacs that love to read about dividends, maybe that will actually keep up at night. Don't read it. But for those that have got nothing else better to do, this is the best thing to do.
All right, thanks for that, Wolfie. CAE,
yes.
I'll bring it across, Wolf, because this story gets occasionally just gets these great drill results. Like here we've got 132 meters at 98 copper, got a bit of silver, gold in there, right? And then it goes up and then it goes back down.
Yeah, look, I think generally speaking, exploration is a hard caper, right? So they keep coming up with some interesting results all up, but you got to put it all together, right? So, you know, after a while, the investors get a little bit desensitized with the announcements. It happens quite a lot, but I suppose what you've got to do is you've got to wait for those announcements that make more sense. So they're putting all the data together to come up with more incentive for the investor to buy. Like, you know, we're going to come up with a big resource. We're going to have a plan for a mine. All the sort of things that happen. So it's a long process. You know, it doesn't happen obviously overnight. So they're going to come up with keep more drilling results and so on. But unfortunately, unless it's something spectacular, the market's sort of losing a little bit of, you know, that FOMO type effect on this thing. But you know, these results are good. You can't say they're bad. This is really good stuff. 182 meters at 0.93, and I think they put it up at 1.25 equivalent when you add all the other bits of metals that are found in a drill hole. So they need to drill more, of course. We've got to see more. They're going to keep coming up with some interesting results. And maybe, you know, with time, people will start understanding that this is going to be maybe a good deposit and see it as what it is, that, you know, that's got some value to it. So for the moment, it's going to be volatile trading wise. If you can pick when they're going to be coming up with an announcement, then maybe that's when you sort of trade.
But it's going to be quite deep, this mine, Wolf, isn't it? It'll be quite expensive to cut.
Yeah, look, it eventually will be, but it's coming up actually from surface. If you look at those results, you know, pretty much from surface down to 400 meters. But yeah, of course, you know, if they can come up with something decent from the top, and it continues down to the bottom 400 meters plus, then, you know, it possibly could be a mine down the track. And like I said, you know, like you probably said as well, the deeper you go, obviously the harder it gets. But as long as they've got top, middle, bottom, and they can come up with something, then it's okay. It's all depending on grades and, you know, the size of it and all those lot of things. I suppose if I think about, you know, some results, and I remember we had a look at Mika results maybe about a week ago, and they come up with that one hole of 4 meters at about 7 grams per ton. Dave, with that sort of result, so this is what I'm saying, you know, results mean everything. If that could probably mine Mika, if they can coming up something with that all the time, they can probably mine this to a kilometer, 2 kilometers underground, as long as they keep coming up with those sort of results. But it's not easy.
All right, thanks for that, Wolfie. That's
anyway, yep.
ARU. a rare earth play. It's up on that announcement. So what's happening here, Wolf?
Yeah, look, a couple of off takes, right? With I think a Korean group and another group, but I can't remember what it was. But it's obviously another tick in the box. Again, I question all these things and going. You can get all the memorandum of understanding and all these sign agreements with everyone. Build a bloody mine. I mean, that's they mean nothing until you actually have a mine and you start actually giving that product to those where the demand is. Otherwise, they're useless really at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So come up with the money, build the mine, then I'm going to get excited about it. But it's a process, isn't it?
Yeah, but the banks like it, don't they? If you've
got
some
of course, they've got something. But it is part of the process of them probably receiving funding. And you never know, they could talk with these Koreans and get a bit of funding out of them, right? But it is part of the process of funding. But for me, like I said, it doesn't mean much because at the end of the day, you've got to have a mind to actually sell that stuff.
Bavati up 67%, and it's been in a bad downtrend. Good news, Wolf, but is it a company maker?
Look, it's a definite boost to transforming maybe Novartis into a banking group, right? So the first step would be a limited license, which they got from the regulator, and this is just deposits, so they can take some deposits from customers, and it's good because if they can get a bit of flow going through, so in other words, people putting money in, getting a bit of interest rates out of it, they can use that money to possibly make more money out of it. So definitely a big change that's why it's up so significantly today. So it's a big boost. But saying that, Dave, I've seen plenty of others getting the same stuff, could not make money out of it, and they folded and they fell over. So I'm still skeptical. I certainly would not be jumping into this on the back of this. I want to see some probably 12 months at least of how they operate this banking license.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of these internet banking companies come over here. They haven't quite sort of broken into the big four, have they?
No, it's difficult. It's difficult. And then you've got interest rates rising and all the sort of things that just stuff up the whole normal market type of stuff. So it's always going to be different for these players coming in and becoming new financial institutions like Novartis obviously becoming today. So look, at the end of the day, Dave, like I said, I think you just have to let them see how they trade and how they perform over a period of time. And I'm saying give them 12 months and let's see how they go.
Wolf, on Friday, LAU, which was the hot stock last week, came out with an announcement. Very, very happy with that, Wolf?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was a positive update from LAU. So that hot stock of yours from 2 weeks ago, it still stands. From Friday when I looked at it, I thought actually an opportunity to buy if you haven't bought it on the Monday the previous week. So you've got another opportunity. I don't think it's run too far. I still think it's fairly inexpensive. And if they can execute well, and sort of navigate through this period of inflation, I think this could be easily 70, 80 cents in 6 to 12 months.
Also, Wolf, it was interesting. We had a buy signal on LAU last week, and we had one on PWH, and they came out with an announcement on Friday. Funny enough.
Yeah, and again, a fairly positive update without giving any guidance. I didn't see any guidance, but they spoke pretty positively. The only problem with this one, Dave, now at this $11 is just so expensive, right? So if I'm looking for value, I just can't. I love the story, but I just can't bank myself buying it.
Wolf, do you think that breakout is possibly saying there's some news coming, or
possibly a good update maybe coming up, Dave? That's absolutely right. I mean, that's the reason why it's looking so good. And remember, these guys are in a very good long-term, I suppose you could call it, sector, which is, I think I'm going to put them into that lithium category or EV batteries because the cooling systems that they've got for cars, they have to be pretty much redone all up for the new breed of car, which is the electric car. So they potentially could have a huge market to play with.
Wolf, TLX,
they're
they're doing okay, trading reasonably nicely on the charts. They came out with an announcement today. What did you make of that?
Yeah, look, like I said, this is very complicated, quite specific type stuff when they come up with results from their studies, right? Like phase 3 studies. So you got to be on the ball. You got to pretty much know what they were trying to do, or what the endpoints were, so to speak, in that term. It seems like they said all endpoints, primary and secondary, were hit or fulfilled. So that seems positive for me. That's why potentially, if you're on this as a trade, I still think it's on for that $8.
All right. And certainly there's nothing wrong with that price action at all. It looks reasonably good.
Yep.
DUR.
Yes.
So, you're looking for a hot stock, Wolf, and generally speaking, we're looking for a good chart, aren't we? We're looking for a good story. And this was the one on Friday. It was quite interesting that both you and Claude were starting to like the story. It didn't look, 15 times. It's paying a 4.5% div. A bit to like about the story, but the growth was interesting, and the potential of growth is really interesting. And there's talk of it's got $1 billion, even $2 billion possibly of work out there, where it could haul in a lot of that work. So again, I thought the interesting factor again was defense. I think I've got about 102 million recurring with defense, which in these times isn't interesting, but it's an interesting little story, DUR, and it's one that yeah, I mean, listen, since it's listed, it's struggled, but one feels it could go back and at least test that 60 cents.
Dave, I have to plug our little ATA, right? Ask the Analyst, because you would have picked this story up on that particular Friday to buy, right, for this week. It happens a lot, Dave, because we go through a lot of charts. People ask us, what is our favorite chart? This one came up on Friday as Duratec as the best looking chart. So I'm going to plug this ATA. Join us. If you're listening right now, join us on the ATAs on a Friday at the very least, because we've got so many great ideas coming up. This one came up as a great chart. Then we looked into the fundamentals. Obviously, me and Claude both sort of seem to be okay with it. It's got something about this that's quite interesting. So here you go. You put it as a hot stock as well, and it's looking pretty good.
Wolf, part of our CTM is always about trending a good story.
Yep.
And I always look at the charts and I go to you, I go, do you like the story, Wolf? And that's my final tick.
Yep.
Now, a lot of our members have clicked onto that, and they like to hear what our fundamental guys, they like to see what our fundamental guys like. And if they can put that in with the chart, it makes them happy. So could I just go through some of the stories that look bullish, and maybe some of the buy signals?
I like the segue. It's beautiful, Dave. You never get it through beautifully. So let's go.
All right. Just the stories that you think are good. Now,
yes.
WDS Woodside, we are charting this, and it's up again today, Wolf, and it's looking that I think we've got just under that 40 target price. It's looking like we're going to get it. The chart, the price action looks very, very, very good.
Let me just have a look at the actual. I want to have a look at the oil price, because I think I saw it's actually going better and better. So over $90 now. So this is what's driving this whole sector last week and obviously early this week. And Dave, I can't see it sort of being too weak. I think we're in a time where possibly this is the time to trade these things again. Yeah,
well, I think it's looking really, really good, and we are trading this one, and I think it'll be a winner.
From me.
AMP, Wolf, had a breakout. So again, this is interesting for me, right? Because I look at that, and it's just been a disastrous story for years, and you would say fundamentally, really. So I suppose the question is, you look at the charts and you see this breakout. Is there any sort of fundamental reason that you think this is happening?
Not for me for the moment. I think people are looking for value, and people are looking for contrarian plays, and this could potentially tick the boxes, but it's just too early for me personally. I probably need to see at least 12 months, because it's been a dog such a long time. It doesn't win favor with me all of a sudden, right? Over a quarter or two. It needs a good period of time before it's back for me. So you think, but not for me as a tick.
So trading up maybe more on hope than reality, whereby sort of Aristocrat, it's back above the water level. It hasn't really started to do any front crawl yet. And it's most probably just in that period. But arguably, Wolf, oversold. And a story that even in tough times tends to do really well with their gaming machines, and now a lot of online gaming as well. So
yeah, definitely a tick for me from this one, right? The story has, over a long period of time, has delivered, and the management has navigated beautifully through some of these tougher periods. It can be cyclical, of course, we know that. And I've seen Aristocrat having a pretty poor period, right, where it's been actually down in the doldrums. But they've seemed to be, over the last few years, delivering the games that people want to play, and obviously all the casinos and all the pokey gaming things been using it, because it's been the popular games that have been working. So they're doing something right for a long period of time now. So I am going here with the previous history and performance. You're going with the management. There's also results are coming out very, very shortly, actually this month. And the suggestion that they should deliver a pretty good report. So for me, I think that's what reflective on the share price at the moment. So I am quite happy to possibly nibble on this.
CGF, which you actually had a nibble on this one back in June, Wolf, and then they sort of went again. I think just went down with the market, but hello, they're back, and not looking too bad on the technicals.
It's a difficult story. You can see the chart, right? It's a very difficult story. It goes up, then down. You think it's going up, then it's going back below. I think I've made a decision in my head now that this is just too difficult for me. I am trading only. It might be cheap, might be interesting for a little period, but again, just too many moving parts pass.
STO, nice little price action last week, Wolf. Actually, a nice little sort of 6-month breakout. Exactly the sort of thing. There's a lot of target prices around that 950 with a lot of brokers on this story. Yeah. Really do like the chart on this one.
Yeah, similar to WDS.
Yeah. Now this might interest you. So I saw obviously Newcrest, which were trending on Equity Story, is starting to do quite well for us, and hopefully that will end up being a good trade. But you know what? I didn't put Northern Star. I meant at the time we're trying to decide between the two. But in all fairness, Northern Star has actually jumped back above trend lines, and actually on the charting wise, it looks quite good. And then I think over the weekend we saw gold holding up reasonably well. High risk.
Yeah, high risk. I mean, if you look at the last quarterly, this is September quarterly report, right? So I've just opened it up, and it tells me here that all-in costs, so not even sustaining, just the all-in costs. So this is everything counted, right? Every single piece of penny that's been spent in Northern Star. It is 2,361, Dave. Now that's the margins are pretty tight with the gold price at the moment.
Yeah, it just depends though which part of the mines they're mining at the moment as well, doesn't it? So
yeah, it could change, absolutely, right? But when you look at that, and you think to yourself, it's not the best thing I've probably seen. I probably prefer Newcrest on those numbers, but it's probably maybe safer because it's just really Australia based with a bit of Canada, I think, thrown in there.
Well, at the moment, Newcrest is the one we're trending anyway. But I think the important thing is we're starting to see gold jump a little bit. Spark, it's technically proved it's really a dividend play, but the chart didn't look bad. I didn't mind ALU, funny enough, and I was just wondering, you've seen it come back. It tried to test that 40. It's come back. It started to hit the trend beautifully and started to bounce back up. I think maybe a little trend back up to that sort of 38, Wolf. I'm not saying a fortune in this, but maybe 5, 6, 7% on the trend.
Yeah, look, I don't mind it. That's a definite tick for me. They delivered very, very well in August. That's why that's had a pretty good run lately.
I put LYC in. Although generally speaking, I do like to see more price action with these sort of stories.
Yeah.
It's in your top 6 resource stocks, and I thought, poked his head above trend, looks pretty good. Again, obviously there's risk in this one, but I think possibly a trade and could go back and retest at least that maybe that $10.
Yeah, I'm going to have a quick look at the actual NDPR, so near the impressive prices, right? Because this is really a huge driver, key driver for LYC and some of the others in this space. So give me a sec, Dave, and I'm just going to go through it. And if I can put it up here just to see what they say. Here we go. So at the moment it had a run down. It's sort of recovering slowly back to that 9. I think they're talking about in renminbi, but look, it's back on the way up by the looks of things. That's why LYC may be having a little bit of a bounce as well. So there's a close correlation between the two. So you got to watch that price underlying commodity to see how it performs. But like I said, generally speaking, long-term positive view for me. So yes,
thanks, man.
I like it.
Little MHJ, and I know you're not really into Michael Hill jewelry.
Thanks.
But impressive breakout. So
yep.
it gets added. Oz Forex, I mean, we've been sort of charting this and this has been very good, and it hasn't broken trend for a year and a half. And this is one I'm really liking, Wolf, on the technicals. It looks great.
Yeah, look, I don't mind it. And I think the volatility in FX prices is actually probably helping them.
The interesting one I thought was this TRS. Really interesting little chart. Now it hasn't quite gone on with it today, but I thought that price action was extraordinarily interesting last week. So again, high risk, which is written here on below, but I thought it was interesting.
You've got to ask yourself, Dave, is there something in the background that's brewing that we haven't seen the announcements yet?
Yeah, it could be. Just
takeover maybe, or something on those lines.
Yeah, maybe because
there was no announcement since proper announcement since the 23rd of August.
And it's weird, Wolf. It has this sort of cupping motion, right?
Yep.
Which is very, very bullish with a breakout. So
yep.
yeah, technically, this motion, like if you go back here, you see the similar look.
Also, is it possible, if it's a $2 shop, is it possible if we go into recession, everyone will be dropping their normal shops and going to the $2 shops to buy their stuff?
Well, to be honest with you, I've already got your Christmas present from them.
I know. I get the same thing every year.
Right. Obviously PPC, it's interesting, but okay, PWH is starting to go on with it. I think good looking chart. Now this one I liked, PPS. So again, a story that has been reasonably popular with you, Wolfie, right? But I like it. I do. It's not quite gone on with it yet so far today, but I think it will. I like it. I like the breakout. There's a lot of what you look at clean air back up to that 130 level. There isn't, you look on the charts. I don't see too much resistance back up to at least 120.
I think, Dave,
I like it.
The people who made a bid for it back in late last year will be scrambling around going, oh shit, we're going to make a quick bid. It's going up too fast. Quick. That's what I think is probably going to be happening here, because they actually reported not too badly in October on the update on the funds, right? So, yeah, look, it's interesting to see where it goes from here. Like I said, there could be a nice recovery heading back up. But saying that, with the markets how they are at the moment, it still be probably volatile, I'd say, over the next period.
Well, for SMR, which when you're aware trended it, we've already hit the $3. And you know what? I was really surprised the breakout. It breaks out above 3. Really good price action, especially when some of the coal stocks have just been a little bit iffy up and down lately. But yeah, I mean, fantastic price action, but again, obviously high risk. I quite like this one, Air New Zealand. Again, it's been in a bit of a downturn, but air travel's coming back, so possibly having a little bit of a boost, and maybe a sort of story that could trend up a little bit higher. Ash, strong little dividend player, and again holding trend. And I've got, you know what? I was a little bit cheeky on this one, but it followed a little bit. It's followed a little bit of a pattern for me, and I think it's time this week we had that next move. So we'll see. But I like the dividend of 13% and a P of 8. It's got a lot to like about Ash. This one I like, Biz. So we did speak about this one on Friday, and I think again, sort of, not far off a buy signal. Had a dividend of 10%, a PE of 7. An absolutely fantastic chart for the last sort of 2 years. So, hello, why would you buy that? Again, we had the COV, which I thought was looking good. Another one of these really great dividend players with a decent chart. So again, yeah, absolute respect. Obviously, LAU, which we had on the week before. This is interesting. Smart parking. What's again?
Recent announcements.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's just really interesting how some stocks, you can see there's, they've been doing nothing for a little while and all of a sudden bang.
And that looks, for me, that's exactly the sort of price action that you tend to be looking for. And another one, smart pay, smart parking, smart pay. Anything, obviously, again, yes, anything smart was looking smart, right? And again, this one's actually started to move again today. I think it's up 5%, but it's obviously something interesting, but a good little breakout, and that's all you're buying, right? Maybe back up to 90 cents. SPQ, again, high risk. XRF, one we've had this one a few weeks. I've still thought, look, IPG, again, a little bit early, really. But I think it was just, you know what it did? I think we looked at on the weekend. We looked on Friday. It's interesting story, ticking a few boxes, and a nice looking chart. And I think it's up 2% today. It's looking very good. DUR, again, nice little breakout, looking good. LLI, which is a high risk little lithium play. It could go anywhere. I thought this was interesting, Wolfie, PBL, because we've been talking about this one. I've had it on Einstein's. I really got excited on that little move up it had here on 30. Now it's at 52. It's nearly up. Well, from when we started talking about this, it's had a fantastic move up, actually. This is one Parabellum, which obviously we do know the people involved in the story, but in Mongolia, so a little bit of risk there, but it is a massively big rare earth project, isn't it?
It is. I think, I don't think it's moving on any information. I think it's just a bit of FOMO going through there. Obviously, that the word is getting out that this could be undervalued, right? So that's what's moving it on.
And Wolf, I just had some buy signals. Just have a look at those quickly so you can have CPU. Again, another incredible looking chart for the last 2 years. Absolutely love that, and had a nice little buy signal. So looked very, very good. And then IPL, and Maya, funny enough, I don't know, the price action this one's had even like 4 weeks ago, and now it still looks absolutely fine. So maybe something. Okay, this is one I thought you'd like, PSI, because I know you quite like the story, and I thought the price action of that chart, the way it's cupping up as well, looks very, very good. So that's why I put it as a preferred trend. IGL, I like it. This is weird, this story. Brisbane Broncos. Is it such a great business? Because it charts absolutely beautifully. Well, it's quite.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't follow the rugby leagues. I got no idea, Dave. But generally speaking, when the Broncos are not playing well, that probably be reflecting on the share price, right? But it's actually, and the Broncos haven't been that great, haven't they, recently? So it's really strange how this is actually going quite well.
Yeah, it is. IFT and little PNN. So a few more higher risk buy signals. But certainly, if you focus on the bigger plays, the IPLs, the CPUs, I think they could do well. And I think you could see last week some of the buy signals that we put on Wolfie, some of the sort of bigger stories did particularly well.
Can you just put on a couple of things for me? One is CRN, because we haven't talked about that one, and we need to, because it's part of the coal thing, and we had an announcement today that the talks between Peabody and themselves are now officially over. So that's down, I think, 8% odd today. So this is what I'm thinking that now that M&A possibly is cooled off, might not trade as good as it did previously. So you're going to be watching that.
Yeah, definitely. Wolf, there's two stories that I didn't put on Einstein's, and I just want to have a look at them. And a little bit why, because we tend to, Einstein's is more weekly charts, not daily. But I'll talk about them because they both actually had quite interesting daily charts. So, that's what we saw on the weekend. And I sort of thinking of, okay, listen, it could go back to highs, but we'll sort of just play it by the daily. But they've actually both got nice daily charts. Now, both haven't gone on with it, but I like it. So for those shorter term traders who want to trade off the daily chart, there's possibly an interesting trade in both those stories, but you're going to have to use those daily charts as per your CTM course to put your stop losses on. And apart from that, Wolf, all good, really. I mean, nicely car, which again I put out as a trade, did eventually break through. It looks like it'll make us some money. Like I said, Newcrest looking obviously a lot better. So yeah, good to see the sort of trades. Like I said, Woodside, I think, are not far off of hitting the goals. So good to see a lot of those recent trades that we put on starting to look pretty good, actually, Wolf.
Yes, and just on the end of the Duratec, your little hot stock is flying up 16%.
Yeah, well, I think it's sort of a bit under the radar, isn't it? Good story. So
yeah, and actually, funny enough, I come across, I was like just flicking through some funds, looking through, how they're performing at the moment, and one of the funds had actually Duratec in their portfolio, which is interesting. So it's not it's flying under the radar, but the astute are liking this story. All
right, listen, on that note, Wolf, I think we've come up with plenty of ideas today for everyone to have a look at. The good stories, and those are the ones we concentrate on, the ones that are trying to move up. And hopefully that's been really helpful for everyone this week to, look what they might want to buy or look what they might want to sell. So hopefully, all right. So tomorrow we've got Ocelot live tomorrow night at 7 o'clock with the Wolf. I'm loving these sessions, the three of us. They're great, really great. If you're not using Ask the Analyst Live, it's criminal, because it's I think it's starting to be the most exciting part of it.
The ideas that come out of them. I mean, this is what I'm saying. I mean, on Fridays are just unbelievable, because you pick up all these, you could easily pick up all these hot stocks and all these buy signals on a Friday, right? All you have to do is join us, listen, and you'll see, you'll come up with a bloody list of stuff to possibly.
And we've got, we've got great traders,
exactly.
We've got Wayne and Gunter, and there's a number of guys out there which are just giving so much towards equity stories. So thank you, boys, and look forward to see you tomorrow night, Wolf. I'll see you tomorrow anyway. All right, thanks, Wolfie. Take care. Bye.